you so much for joining us today. Today in the micro review, we have the honor and the privilege to interview Pastor David Serrano. So stay tuned. Welcome to the micro review, where you view the small details and we see the big pictures, helping you improve management, sales, and leadership. Thank you so much for inviting us. Thank you so much for opening the doors of your home in order to conduct this interview. How are you today?
I'm okay, and you're welcome. It's a privilege for me to be here with you.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. So as you know, our channel is based on management, sales, and leadership. And obviously, you being my pastor, I want to come and interview you on management and leadership. But before we reach those details, I wanted you to tell our audience a little bit about you, where you came from, some of your growing ups, how that went about, some mentors. So tell me, please.
Okay, sure. And you can hit the like button now.
Thank you so much for that.
I grew up in Puerto Rico. I born in Puerto Rico in a town called Toa Baja. We had a regular life, unfortunately or fortunately, my mother and my father, they used to be lovely with us, But my father died when I was 15.
Oh, so sorry to hear that.
So that changed our life completely. We became poor to the extreme because the only one that was working at that time in our house, it was my dad. 7 brothers and 3 sisters. Wow. So altogether we were 10. So that made our life miserable. The time came when my brother decided to come to New York. And with that, he decided to bring all my family into New York. So he started, my brother Jose, then my brother Louis, and then the rest of the family except me. I stood in Puerto Rico, and as a young guy, I used to drink and do so many different things that it wasn't good for me at that time.
Was that based on what we call nowadays depression?
I really don't know, but it was based on my father's death.
I see.
That's because it was a tragedy. After that, I started to drink. Before that, I never drink before.
Okay.
But after that, then I started to drink. So that changed my life completely.
I see. Okay. So you get to New York eventually, right?
Right.
Okay. How was that change for you, going from Puerto Rico to New York? I'm sure lifestyle is completely different.
Yes, it was. When I used to drink a lot, and I came here, it was the same pattern. Almost every day. I used to drink almost every day. So I got few friends, and we used to go out, we used to drink. Even though I was married for almost 4 years already when I came to New York.
Okay.
I had my son David. He was like a year and a half, something like that. So when I came here, I continued to do the same thing. I started to drink and go out, and I used to say that my wife used to have everything except me.
I see. Wow.
The change, the ambient, the atmosphere, it was completely different because being on a poor community in Puerto Rico, to come to the Bronx, a whole lot different.
I see. Now, when you come to New York and you're experiencing all these challenges that starts happening in your life, what was the change? What was the trigger that made everything change where you stand today as a pastor, for example?
Okay, my mother used to go to a church, and when we came, my mother and my wife used to tell me to go to church. I used to tell them, no, don't talk to me about church, because that's not my life.
Okay.
That's not the type of life that I like. Okay. So don't talk to me about church. But they kept inviting me, and one day I got mad, I got furious, and I hit the table with my punch, and I said, listen, don't bother me anymore. I gotta go with you guys to the church, but only once. Don't try to force me to keep going to church, because that's not my type of life. That's not the life that I want. That happens. I went, and I felt something that I never felt before. And I gave my heart to the Lord. I was 25 years of age when I did that. So I began to learn about the Bible. I began to study about the Bible. I began to study about Christ, about God, and that's changed my life.
So it went from an invitation, which you was retaliating pretty much,
Yeah.
to just kind of say, let me just go so you guys could just be quiet and get it out of the way. So once I go, I can go back to my old life and I got you off my shoulder, pretty much.
That was my idea. My idea was to, that was bothering me almost every day. So I said, I'm going to go with you, but, just once. And, that's my idea was to just go one to please them, and that's it. But something happened that day in that church that changed my life.
And you were 25 years old.
25.
And you're how old today?
70.
Wow. That is amazing. That is pretty admirable.
So God has been good to me, and my life changed completely. Before I came from Puerto Rico, I used to be a mechanic. I used to be a trailer driver. So, financially I was doing good, but emotionally I was destroyed because what happened with my father. And that affected the rest of my life until I gave my heart to the Lord.
That's beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Talk to me a bit about your career, as you said something about being a truck driver?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I used to be a truck driver in Puerto Rico, but I also used to be a diesel mechanic.
Okay.
I used to work for the company named Leaseway, and then I worked for the Shell company, that's a gas company in Puerto Rico. So I used to be a trailer driver there, and at the same time I used to be a mechanic. So I used to fix the trailers, and at the same time, when one of the drivers didn't come to work, I used to do the delivery.
Now, share a little bit more about that. When you come to New York, do you continue that same career path?
No. Well, life wasn't easy when I came to New York. And you could hit the like button if you want.
Thank you.
When I came to New York, it wasn't easy, it was hard. So I started to work as a gas station that used to be on the corner of 163 and Westchester Avenue. It was mobile by that time.
Okay.
So I used to work there, and I used to live in the front, in the building front of that garage. So being there, the supervisor that he came from Farberware factory came and saw me working, because I used to change oil, brake, and do minor stuff. He invited me to go and work for him at Farberware. He said he was gonna do something for me, because my problem was, I come from Puerto Rico where I used to make good money as a mechanic and as a trailer driver. I used to make good money. And then I came to New York. I have to work on that gas station because it was nothing else. The money wasn't that good. Then this guy came, invited me to go and work for him in Farberware. I went to check. I decided to go and take the job. So I started on a conveyor. They used to do pots, frying pans, and all that stuff. I used to just work on a conveyor, taking the pots out of the conveyor and put it on a wagon, but I used to be a mechanic. So my experience allowed me to learn fast how to deal with machines. About a year after I started, they put me to work on a machine as an operator. I was operating a machine. So that, a year later, then they made me a mechanic for those machines, because my mechanic experience helped me to learn how to do it fast.
Exactly.
One day I went to my boss, and I saw him. He was sick. His name was Patrick, and he couldn't come to work for about a week. When he came back, he went to his office, and it was a pack of sheets with the production of the day, and I saw that it was a lot of them, and I asked him, Patrick, what happened? Why you got so many papers? He said, because nobody know how to do this. So I asked him, could you teach me how to do it? You want me to help? Because by that time, I was a mechanic. I was fixing the machines, so I didn't have to do anything unless they called me to fix anything on the machine.
So you had a bit of a downtime, you will say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I asked him, can I learn how to do it. And he said, let me talk to the big boss, and if he said yes, it will be a bless for me. He knew I was going to church by that time, so I invited him to church. He went to church, he accepted the Lord, but he had cancer, and he died after that.
Oh, wow. So let me ask you a question, Pastor. By the time that you invited him to the church, were you a pastor already?
No.
Okay.
No, I was just a deacon, and I was dealing with the youth at the church.
Okay.
After he died, what happened was that nobody was able to do the paperwork that he used to do, but me. And even though I only was there for about a year or a year and a half, nobody else knew how to do the paperwork. And that's when I started to grow. And then as a lead man, I was in charge of the department. Another boss was jealous at me because I never had problems. And he tried to do my life miserable.
He was jealous.
Forget it.
He was hating on you.
Oh man, yes he does. He was, like we can say, the pain.
Now, during that time, right, as you are growing in the church, you're also growing in your career. Do you have any mentors?
By that time, no. Because when I came from Puerto Rico, basically I was by myself. I was already married, so I have my family. So I didn't have no mentor, but it was a teacher at the church. His name was Hinorio. That I admire him. The way he preached, the way he learned, the way he teach the Bible. That helped me a lot. Plus the pastor that he was there, Manuel Valentin, he was a great man. I look at them models, if we can say, and that helped me improve. Even though one of the things that made me grow is that I never like to stay still. I always want to be something else, grow. I always want to be something else, grow. I remember working on Faberware when I used to be a mechanic. I used to help the bosses, and people in my department used to tell me, Dave, you are stupid, why are you doing that? You're not supposed to do that. I used to tell them, don't worry about it. I know what I'm doing. Now, when I became the lead man, then they said, now we know why you was doing that. But I wasn't doing it because I want to be a lead man, but I like to help people.
Yeah, that, it's funny when you say that, because I am sometimes in that same positions, either in my current job or sometimes in previous careers that I had, where I was always the first one in the office and the last one to leave the office. And people would say, but Jay, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? You're not getting paid extra. You leaving late. You go and deliver things for customers. Like, are you out of your mind? And I will say, hey guys, you mind your business and let me mind mine. And then at the end of the day, every time there was an opportunity to be given, it will be given to me.
That's exactly what happens to me. Because I always like to learn. Well, I've been in the pastorship for 40 years and I'm still learning. If you want to grow, you need to learn. If you don't learn, you're not going to grow.
It's that simple.
That's simple. See, if you want to grow, it's the only way, because the way that God desires us to grow to our potential is by learning. So one of the things that we have to keep in our mind daily is to grow. Because if you grow, you can expand yourself. If you don't grow, you're going to stay in the same level. So I always like to learn and always like to grow until today. And I'm 70 years old, so you might say, yeah, but it's already too late for you. No way. I'm going to keep doing that until I die.
Amen to that. Now, me as a member of your church, right? I have admired always one thing about you. I always tell my wife, I don't know how he does it. You have a charismatic character. That's number one. And number two, your wisdom. Your wisdom is out of this world. My wife and I, we went to marriage counseling with you. Some of the things that you taught me there, sometimes when I have personal friends of mine facing certain challenges, I'm like, oh, wait. Somebody told me this. And I share with them, and their minds is just like, it's like, wow, Jay, where you got that from? I'm like, I know this great pastor, and I'm telling you, you talk to that guy and he will blow your mind. Where that comes from, because that's quite admirable. There was also times when I would be sitting in your church and you will be teaching like Sunday school. Some questions that were thrown at you, it was like, gosh, how is he going to answer this question? And come to say, when you spoke, it was like mouth dropping. It was answers that I didn't even imagine that any human being will be able to answer that difficult, challenging question. It was just mind-blowing.
Well, I like to study a lot. I like to read a lot. I have my bachelor on theology, honor on psychology. I came to be a Christian after I gave my heart to the Lord. I started to study the Bible, something that you get from God, and you study 1 Corinthians chapter 2. There, the Bible said that it's a wisdom that it comes to you, that is strictly from God. So I learned that, and I begin to study about God, study the Bible. I don't know if I should say it, but I always used to be smart. From first grade until the 12th grade, I was on an honor roll. I used to be always one of the top students in class. I had the chance to go to study engineer. Yeah, at that time when my father passed away, my life was messed up. I started to drink. I almost lost my chance to go to school. It was a tragedy when my father died. Hate filled my heart, and I was looking for who took away the life of my father, because I always said I need to take his life away, because his family need to suffer what my family been suffering. But when I gave my heart to the Lord, that's changed completely. I kept studying the Bible and studying about God, and that's helped me to grow. Then I went to Bible school, then I went to seminary. I had my bachelor in theology. So, all of that combined, when I read the Bible and when I study the Bible, sometimes I get things that help me understand better what is God all about, and help me to be a better leader, help me to be a better pastor, help me to be a better citizen, a better human being.
That's amazing. That's just amazing. That's quite admirable. Now,
thank you.
When you are throughout your career, right? How many people were you managing at the beginning?
Okay. You can hit the like button if you want.
Thank you.
Sure. At the beginning, it was only one department when I used to work in Flowerware. But then I grew, they gave me 3 departments. By the time I presented my resignation, I used to have like 1,500 people on 5-6 different departments.
Wow.
So it was a lot. I never had problems. My supervisors always liked the way I worked. When I told him that I was going to resign, he was telling me, don't do that. I said, no. God told me to renounce, so I'm going to bring my resignation because I want to follow God.
That's great.
And that's what I did. But yes, it was about 1,500.
Now, I'm going to ask the question because I've been in management position in the past. And there's one typical challenge that I myself have faced a lot. You could have 10, 20 people, maybe more, maybe 1,500. But there's always one person, one of your employees that makes that situation impossible. You tell them go this way and they know that's the right way, but they go that way just to prove a point against whatever you're pointing out to do correctly.
Well, by the time that I get that amount of people under my management, I already was a pastor.
Okay.
So what I learned being a pastor is that you have to always give a second chance. With the employers, I always do that. When people have problems, when people have situations, when they don't want to do what they needed to do, I used to call them, I used to sit with them, I used to explain to them the importance of what they was doing. I used to give them credit for what they do. I used to make deal with them. I remember it was a guy that was a lazy guy. Oh man. Man.
There's always one lazy.
Oh wow. But I make a deal with him because he was fast. So I told him, listen, I'm gonna make a deal with you. You give me this amount of production, and then if you wanna go to the bathroom and take your time, you do it, and I'm not going to bother you. But just make sure that you give me the production that I need for the day. That was it. After that, I never had a problem with him.
Now, let's put the same perspective with members of the church. For example, there's always lots of different ministry, there's lots of people to command and give, delegate things to them. Have you ever faced a challenge where people or member of the church don't follow your command, your management?
Yes. Many times. That's because you're dealing with different characters, different personalities. So that's something that happens more than often. So at the beginning, later then people know you and they stop doing what they're doing and they become good leaders or good members. But when something like that happened, what I used to do was I go to my office and explain to them, listen, this is a church, you have to always, this is a Bible principle, you need to learn how to work under supervision. You're never going to be independent. You're always going to have somebody higher than you. So what you got to do is learn how to work with persons like that. So if you learn how to work with person as your superiors, you're never gonna have problems in life, because you're always gonna know that it's gonna be somebody higher than you. So if you do that, if you take that principle and you make that your daily life principles, you're never going to have problems. So I take them and I explain to them. If I have to bring the leader in, I do it. If not, I make sure that the leader told me how they behave after that incident.
I see.
And so far, so good.
That's right. Yeah, it's one of the most difficult things, I think, in management, when you have to deal with certain individuals that are a bit difficult and they don't want to follow the rules. They just want to be themselves.
Yes. Now, don't get me wrong. If I have to tell the person, listen, it's better for you to get another church, because I think that your character or your personality always going to clash. For your own good, try to go to some place else. So I don't have no problem telling them that, because that's going to help them and it's going to help the people of the church.
Correct. How many members are in your church?
To be honest with you, I don't know.
When you say it's like more than 100, 200?
See, I believe it's 300 and something now.
Okay.
Right number? No, I don't know.
Now, with this whole entire crisis that have taken around the world, do you think the church will continue to remain strong, or are we going to pay the consequence of this?
No, I think that the church is going to continue strong, because it's no other institution that is going to help a human being more than a church. Because the church tries to teach you that you need to get closer to God. You need to develop a spiritual life. And when you do that, you grow and you learn a lot more about your behavior and the way you have to act and the way you are dealing with this situation, this crisis that we are right now. One of the helpers of the world is going to be the church. So I believe that the church is going to get stronger than what it is now. Now, things are changing, like for instance, you know that we have service only on Sundays, and we go through the social media Tuesdays and Fridays. I think that that's going to stay like that. I think that, people like to protect themselves, And I think that's going to stay like that. But I believe that on Sundays, church is going to keep growing. The social media services are going to keep growing because people realize that they need God.
That's great. That's great. I couldn't agree with you more. You know, I could see how the social media platform is definitely helping the church.
Oh, yes, a lot. So I believe that the church is going to get stronger. What we need to do is keep developing leaders like that. They can help the church to maintain themselves strong.
And what is one word of advice you can give to anybody that is trying to improve their management and leadership skills?
Keep studying, look at you to see if there are some things that you need to change, and always try to give the people a second chance.
Great advice. Great advice. I'm a big believer of giving more than one chance. I like to always give the benefit of the doubt of people to do better for themselves. Yeah. And in terms of leadership, anything that could help you develop more leadership, you know, because sometimes people like to say, oh, well, some people are born with leadership. Others say, oh, no, leadership is learned. You know, what do you have to say about that?
Some leaders are born. That's the way it is. But we have to try to teach them, because if they're going to be the leaders, they need to learn. It's a process that you got to go through. It's a lot of strategies that you need to learn. So the idea is keep learning, keep developing your strategies, and keep teaching them, because your teaching is going to help them be better tomorrow.
Great. Any books that you could recommend for anybody trying to develop their management and leadership skills?
Yeah. The number one is the Bible.
Okay, great.
Because the Bible is a great leadership book. The other ones, I got so many, but I'm not too good reminding.
Okay.
So I can give you a list, and maybe later on you could put them on the show, or something like that. And you could hit the like button if you like.
Thank you.
So I got a lot of books.
Okay.
I like to read a lot about psychology, human conduct. I like to read a lot about theology, different mind, different concepts. So that's helped me develop my leadership and try to be better. I don't know if I'm better, but I'm trying to be better. Like that, what I give, what I seed into somebody else, help them grow and become the leader that they wanted to be.
Great. The last thing to end our show is the bonus. Can you share a bonus of anything that you might be working on, or any advice you would like to give? A bonus. What would that be today?
I'm writing a book about, the title of the book is Overcome.
Overcome.
So the overcome is to try to teach people how to deal with different situations in life. For instance, overcome depression, overcome sin, overcome laziness. So yes, I'm writing a book and I'm happy about what I'm doing, and soon you're going to know about overcome.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to share my mind into your show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So remember, hit the like and subscribe button. That's important for us, and you're going to be able to have a lot more than what you have in today.